What is up, everyone? Rich Redmond here. This is the Rich Redmond Show. This is a special bonus edition of the Rich Redmond Show, coming to you live from Music City Crash Studio here in beautiful Brentwood, Tennessee. Of course, I have my co-host, co-producer here with me, Jim McCarthy, JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com. Yep, and my good buddy John Hull, drummer, drum tech,
Johnny
entrepreneur. Hull. Yeah, we've been working together 7 or 8 years, probably coming up on 8 years.
I can't count that high, so who knows?
I've been working with him longer.
So Jim is all these gentlemen play drums. Jim does many things, including produce the show, produce other people's podcasts, does a lot of voiceovers,
a lot of stuff.
Been a long time friend, but he plays the drums. And he said, Rich, one of the skill sets you have that you talk about a lot on your drummers' weekends or in your master classes or clinics is the ability to quickly chart out a song. Now, my charting system is a sort of a shorthand that's based on westernized notation, and it really leans heavily on my ability to understand what rhythms look like on a piece of paper. So I'm giving myself, in the shortest period of time, in the shortest shorthand possible, the ability to hear a song. This is a song I've never heard before, but apparently Jim says it's very popular, and it's from a new Broadway musical that's supposed to be the next Rent. And he goes, the kids are loving this, so I want you to hear this. Now, sometimes when I'm charting something, maybe like a Tom Petty song or an Americana song in the studio, things are pretty basic, and I can almost do a phrase chart in real time. Something tells me he's going to try to throw me. He's going to really push me and test my ability.
One thing I will reveal about this song is the fact that it has... well, first of all, I heard it from my daughter, who has just turned 13. Yeah, she has been in love with this play since it's come out. She knows it front to back. Really kind of unpacked it with me. And one of the songs that I picked up on, we all call it the push song, right? So, in your definition, how would you describe what a push is?
So, if these are quarter notes, right? 2, 3. So you got a good beat, you could dance to it. Now, if you're in the studio, this is usually this is the basic pulse, right? So this is what the click track would be, right? So a push is when you have an upbeat. So if you're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and the pushes are at, they're on the ups, right? Down, up, down, up. So all the push would be, so a push rhythm would be,
and it feels like the 1.
1, 1. Now you can take it another. You can make it more syncopated. It'll be 1, 1, right? And everything is related to the subdivision of 1, 2, 3, 4. Because most of the music that excites people, especially,
it's got a spice to it,
especially girls.
It's like Emerald going bam, right? Throwing some spice into the song.
I love that about Emerald.
Right.
Bam.
So
3 exclamation points.
It feels like the 1 though, right?
I use at least 3.
At least 3. It feels like the 1 though. When you have a push.
It doesn't feel like the 1. It's just, it's syncopation.
To me it does. Well, in this one, what really intrigued me is that it had a lot of that going on.
Okay, well, here we go.
We,
What's it called?
I would describe it as the push song, and my wife and kids are all trying to go, okay, what is a push?
Hey, this is a family show. Enough about pushing.
Nice. So can you corroborate what he said, Johnny?
Exactly that.
So I'm going to run some video on my phone.
No, this is great. I've got my Spring Hill Suites pen, and
I'm going to we'll get it on the phone so you can see what Rich is writing, because this is really complicated.
I'm putting it out there that this show will have such mass appeal because we have comedians, actors, authors, thought leaders, business people, and musicians. Right. That Starbucks will be coming on as a sponsor very soon.
Within a matter of weeks.
Put things into the universe.
So I'm going to get it on video here through the phone, but you're also going to need me to start and stop the song so you can catch up, correct?
God, you're doing a lot, as always.
Yeah, so here we go.
It's called Dear Evan Hansen.
This song is called Waving Through a Window. Ready?
Do we have any fans out there?
So the first thing you do is you write the name of the song.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then here
John, you can feel free to comment anytime.
Here we go.
I don't know.
I feel like you're just going to say, I will break you.
I don't know very many words.
Okay, you ready? Here we go.
2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4.
I've learned to slam on the brake.
First one.
Before I even turn the key.
4, 5.
Before I make the mistake.
6, 2, 3, 4, 7.
Before I lead with the worst of me. give them no reason to stare.
2, 3, 4, 3.
No slipping
Feel the
up
phrase.
if you slip away.
5.
So I got nothing to share.
6, 7.
No, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned.
Okay, backtrack.
Okay, so we're stopping there.
Okay, so we got a lot of pushes and it's happening fast.
Right?
So try to go right before the pushes come in.
Okay, so I'm going to go back about...
So right now we have a macro rhythm that's like 1 and.
About 37 seconds. I took it back about 4 seconds.
Good.
Think it's enough?
Let's try.
Here we go.
If you keep getting burned.
Can I go further back?
Yeah, because sometimes when you hear that, you don't know where 1 is. So got to give yourself a fighting chance.
Here we go.
Step away. So I got nothing to share.
2, 3, 4.
No, I got nothing to say.
2, 3.
Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned.
Okay, so let's double check this 4-bar phrase right here, and then what we're gonna do is I have a sneaking suspicion that is gonna repeat.
Okay.
So this is a 4-bar phrase. Most music is chopped up into 4-bar phrases, 8-bar phrases, and this looks like when the dude was singing, we have 2 8-bar phrases of doing nothing but hearing that piano push rhythm, and then the drums come in. So I want to double check my handiwork here, and then we'll see if it happens again.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm starting where I started, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Outside, always looking in. Will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window.
Am I too far ahead?
Did you go ahead or back?
I don't know. I'm fired.
That was right.
Oh, okay, so we got to go back to before the drums came in, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that was about 27 seconds in. It's tough to do on an iPad.
So I got nothing to share. No, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned.
4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking
Okay, so it's similar what happens here. So I'm going to go over here and da-doom. I think there's a downbeat here. Boom, boom.
This stuff fascinates me.
Doom.
It's like hieroglyphics for me.
Doom.
Does this make sense to you? Does it?
And then there's a
Yes, Jim.
tom build. Okay, let's go back and check that full 8-bar phrase.
Oh, okay. So that's way back. Okay.
Same spot.
Step
Farther back?
Yep.
Sorry.
No worries.
This is how it's done in the making, guys.
No, I got nothing to say.
2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1.
Out of the sun if you keep
And 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1.
Out of the sun because you've learned.
Nice.
On the outside,
Okay, let's unpack this for everyone.
Okay.
Okay, so what happens here is there was a rest there. So if you count this, 8, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And there's a little crescendo there. That's Italian for get louder, bitch.
Is that what it's Italian for?
It's actually Italian for get louder.
That's our literal interpretation.
Literal.
Okay, so then there's something else happening here. He stops singing again.
Right.
Right? So
I think it goes into that's the chorus coming up.
now let me listen to what Dudo is doing on the cymbals, because this is what I would call the macro rhythm, the big picture of where all the pushes are.
Is it normal to call him Dudo?
No, is that Evan Hansen singing? Who is it?
The character? I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea.
This is a Broadway show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Original Broadway cast recording.
Beautiful.
So this is basically, the thing right now. I don't think it gets any more complicated than this.
So let's hope that there's lots of repetition.
Yeah.
Because then you can do repeat signs. Mm-hmm. And I'll show you what a repeat sign is.
You ready to go?
Yep, the same spot.
No, I got nothing to say.
8, 2, 3, 4.
Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step step out of the sun. Because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in. Will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass.
7,
through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear. So I wait around for an answer to appear. While I'm watching people pass. I'm waving through a window.
Okay.
So a little bit of more complication happening, right?
So more complication there. So it sounds like he's doing handling some of the pushes, the way he's orchestrating the drums. There's some pushes on just what we would call the top end, so like the shimmer of the cymbals. And then he's got a bass drum pattern, which is like, do 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, which is very Police, like still going.
Yes.
So it's a reggae technique of putting the bass drum on beat 3, whereas if it was say Bonham was playing this, he'd be go. Instead of.
This is fascinating, man. I mean,
there's so many ways to handle this.
You're putting a roadmap to this.
I mean, if I was a session drummer on this, I would at first pass. And I had freedom to interpret this. I would be reading these rhythms and figure out how I could apply them on the drum set. Now, most likely, the composer of this was very, very specific about how he wanted everything orchestrated. So he's got the cymbal thing written out. And then on this part here, I got to figure out what's happening on the top line and what's happening on the kick drum.
So you need me to go back.
1, 2, and 3. So what I'll do is I'm going to prep myself here, and I'm going to write out this kick drum pattern, and I think it happens for 8 measures, and then I'm going to try to catch the top line. You know what I mean?
So these two things that you're doing here go along with this.
Okay, so that's in the past.
Okay.
And this is a new phrase here.
Okay.
Okay, so now I just got to figure out what he's doing on the top of the cymbal. Maybe what I'll do is write out the kick drum part for the 8 measures, and then I'll go back and I get the cymbals.
And all these things you're writing are actual notes, right?
These are when you're dealing with rhythms on the drum set. If we had 5 lines and 4 spaces, it's called the staff.
Yeah.
So the bass drum would be on that line, the snare drum would be on that. There would be the high tom, there would be the low tom, this would be the hi-hat. What I'm doing is like, I know how to orchestrate it. So right now I'm just looking for the big picture, the rhythms, to how I can get through this sucker.
John, thoughts?
I couldn't say it better than he said.
Yeah, because John is always here engineering for me.
Right.
If you pan over a little bit, you see there's a Pro Tools set up. We got tons of drums here. Everything's all mic'd up, ready to go.
Yep.
And
there's the kit right there.
Yeah, and instead of me having to figure out how to split my brain and my analytical side and try to run Pro Tools, which would take 5,000 years.
Like running, holding a video camera in your hand, making sure the levels are right,
I can just play.
Queuing a song.
But John has seen me chart out a million songs.
And hosting. And trying to be funny and irreverent.
Keep trying. Here we go.
So we're going to back it up a little bit?
Yeah.
Is that what we got to do?
Yeah.
Okay. How far?
Go back to that and then he sings in the chorus. I think it's a chorus.
I've always been cause I'm tapped.
Hold on.
On the outside, always looking in. Will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the
6.
glass.
You get good at feeling the phrase. 8.
I try to speak, but nobody can hear. So I wait around for an answer to appear. While I'm watching people pass. I'm waving through a window.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
That's a little, I have no idea what you'd call that.
Dun, 1, dun, dun, and then 1, dun, dun, and that may have happened on the 4th bar. 1, boom, boom, ba, bum.
So the next time you think it's easy to be a musician in Nashville, just remember this, and this is all the stuff you have to know.
And this rhythmically, this has got more depth than a lot of things that we're going to play in Nashville.
It is. It's a little bit more complicated. It's not just boom schmack.
But if you're good at this,
right, when
someone gives you a music chart in Nashville that's based on the Nashville number system, and there's literally 2 chords,
right,
for 3.5 minutes, and you have to construct a drum part that makes sense. The main thing you're thinking about is, what's the kick drum pattern? What's the tempo? Is there a loop? How tight do I have to be?
Right.
Is the loop going to stay? And do I stay out of the way of the vocal?
Yes, for all you jackholes that think it's easy. Dummies.
Jack FM. Okay, let's hit this again, and I'm going to get the top line stuff. As I was going, as I could, I was trying to put some of these.
I know you're kind of you're flicking your hand.
This means cymbals. That means shh. That means a cymbal crash without a kick drum.
Wow.
If I added the kick drum, it would look like this. I would write the rhythm down there, and they'd be.
This is the reason why I would see a video like this and throw my sticks away and say I give
Well, and
up.
it's really sloppy. And
for everybody watching, he's actually writing in Arabic.
Johnny with the funny.
Hey, no, cymbals were invented in Turkey. So.
That's right.
And they were in the Bible.
And we just had a turkey sandwich.
There's context to my joke.
There were finger cymbals in the Bible.
There were?
Yeah, it's just like percussion instruments all over the Bible, from what I understand.
So, do you want me to? So, the last time we stopped here was that dun dun. Do you want to keep going from there?
Can you go back?
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to catch some stories, some details.
I think it was about 47.
And if I was doing my.
On the outside, always looking in the well.
There's syncopation in the piano. I don't have to write that down.
It's not your business.
7. Sorry. 7. 8, 2, 3, 4.
Try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass. I'm waving through a window.
You're good.
Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back?
Oh, nice. Ba 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 ba. Okay, back up just a little bit.
So those are eighth notes, right?
Yeah. Now that's something that you're going to hear in Nashville all the time. Jin 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 jin. Every day.
Pat Boone, Debbie Boone.
Das du Gosakadum.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Flockum.
What is this language?
You don't sing this language?
He does.
He doesn't understand it.
It's for the.
Okay, go back just a little bit, and then we're going to go into this next section here.
Amateur. Okay. Here we go.
Anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me?
Little shimmer on top.
We start with stars in our eyes. We start believing that we belong. But every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong. A step out, step.
A lot of pushes there, man.
Now the thing is, if this was written out, I could read it.
This is like time after time.
I could, if somebody wrote this out cruise ship style or Broadway show style, I could sight read it. But now we don't have that. We've got to create it.
You got to do it.
So he got shimmer, shimmer. This is all what I would call color. So when I use the word color, it means play the cymbals. So I have little shorthands. This means a cymbal crash. This down here is the kick drum pattern. This is a tom, jun 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 jun. There's a little build, jun 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 jun. That's a tom build, and these mean we have the when I do these stems together, it means that I play the high tom and the jun 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 jun.
Oh wow,
yeah,
you get that detail.
Jun 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 jun.
And I like the fact that you're saying Jim.
Jim. Okay, so let's get this section here, and then I'm gonna go to the cross stick. Just let's do that shimmery section.
This is the time after time.
Go after this,
right?
Yes, totally. Yeah. And you have to, as a drummer, you can put here if I wanted to.
Who did that? That was Sandy Gennaro.
I can go Cindy Lauper. I can go Lauper.
Because it's a very little clock ticking sound effect.
Yes, sir. We love Sandy.
Right, John?
Can you go back to the shimmery section here?
Yes.
And I would be much faster if I was doing this myself, but this is good.
No, we're explaining everything. This is I think this is fast.
We start with stars in our eyes.
Before that, okay. Let me try and back
jin,
it up
jin,
a little
jin,
bit.
Oh, can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? We start with stars in our eyes. We start believing that we belong. But every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong. Step out.
It's happening fast.
That's basically he comes in with that drum fill.
There's this macro rhythm bump bump bump. So he's still slicing and dicing.
Slicing and dicing.
And so I just need to catch it. So there's no reason for me to write all this cross stick across the board because I could write the word simile. That means, or I could just what I do is I write an arrow. That means I just keep playing the cross stick the whole time.
Right.
Now I just got to get the kick drum pattern.
I got you.
So now we go back to the.
Okay, so back.
And I'm going to write all this out.
All right, here we go.
Back at me.
The color part.
stars in our eyes. We start believing that we belong, but every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong.
Ooh, I can only write so fast. Okay.
So you got that little. That's all pushes at the end, right? Doom, ga ga goom, ga ga goom.
I think this is the boom, boom, boom. So it's like gum, gung, 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 boom, boom, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, boom, gum, 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 gum. Now, as typical in music, it's the same thing 3 times, and then the 4th phrase is this is going to be where there's going to be a fill, there's going to be a push. We're going to figure out what that is.
Okay. So back just a little, or all the way?
It's better if you go all the way so you know where you are on the phrase.
Okay, here we go.
Body waving back at me. We start with stars in our eyes. We start believing that we belong, but every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned.
Damn.
Step out.
Lot going on?
Okay.
I think it gets easier from here, though.
Okay, so what he does here to finish this up is some tom fill. So the last phrase, bum, ba bum, ba da do ba do do ba.
Right.
And that's what I learned from, like, we had our guest a couple weeks ago, Danny Gottlieb, and he was talking about playing big band music. You know? So if I was playing this, it was playing setting up figures, but this is straight eighth, so it's and we got to set it up.
Right.
Okay, so now, I think we have that. So now this is going to be this other section, and I really haven't figured out what the verse is and what the chorus is. So I'm just like,
right.
I think this was a chorus.
The chorus was the
don't get burned thing. Or?
No. From the outside, always look. I think that's maybe it is. Talk, women through. I think that's the chorus.
Okay, so go back.
In radio, we call that the hook.
Go back just a little.
Okay.
And let me see. Now, I think it goes back to this intro thing where there's this. I'm going to copy some of this because I think that's what's happening.
So that you're going to make it so you can play this thing all the way through.
Yep.
Wow. That is amazing.
For the most part. So, and then what I heard here is I heard something on beat 4. It was like a beat 4. On beat 4, which is we were talking about Hicktown and how, like, the funny thing about that hit song Hicktown is that there's and shout and
yeah,
you know, and it's like a jazz technique.
Yeah,
you know, making beat 4 sound like one. Well,
this is kind of, it feels like a 1 in here, doesn't it?
If you swing it,
no, that's a song I probably can play from memory.
Big band classics. Jason Aldean songs as big band classics. Someone's going to do it. Actually, my friend Larry at UNLV said, I want you to come in and play with the big band, and we're going to do Jason Aldean songs with jazz arrangements.
Interesting.
And we might do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could do it, of all people. This is very impressive. I've never seen you do this.
Well, this is, we got to get out more, Jim.
See that filing cabinet over there?
It's full of charts.
This one right here?
Yeah.
There's
really?
10,000 of these in there.
Oh, my gosh. Is this, I mean, you know, you're familiar with this. To me, this is gobbledygook. Is this really complicated? Is this a complicated song, Johnny?
It's more complicated than what we do in the studio here every day.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's complicated in that
there's no odd time signatures.
If you have to create your own chart, it's more complicated than someone just putting it on the stand and going, read it.
It's time consuming.
Yes.
Right.
More.
I mean, we're taking a lot of time breaking it down, and we've got another little over 2 minutes to go on this thing for the song itself.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 3.5 minute song.
Okay, let's do this.
Get ready?
Yep.
And no one tells you where you went wrong. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned.
There we go.
Step out of the sun because you've learned on the outside always
Stop.
looking
Okay. So we know that the big thing to change here was that beat 4.
Yeah.
Right? And then I think we borrow from this other phrase over here. Boom. John's like, wow, I've got to do laundry and get on that bus. This is not fun.
I did it last night, actually.
When's bus call?
For me?
Yeah.
We roll at 7.
You roll
I thought
at
you guys
7?
were leaving at 10 p.m. They moved it?
Okay.
Yeah,
we got 3 hours.
You guys.
We are playing Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and St. Louis. Right? Aren't we? Is it Cincinnati?
Cincinnati's somewhere.
So by the time this video comes out, Cincinnati, St. Louis, and where?
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Hope it was a good show.
We're going to play a lot of Verizon amphitheaters.
Verizon. Can you hear me now?
I know. What a great gig. Okay, can you go back to the...
Ring. That was... okay, here we go.
Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned on the outside, always looking in. Will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm
Okay, nice. That's really fun. So that goes to a giant halftime funk, right?
Yeah.
Which is how they could have handled this earlier section,
right?
But they're thinking about telling a story over the course of 3.5 minutes. So the composer or the drummer or whoever was involved in this said, we're going to build this part. So the second time this happens, we've made a different choice. So it goes to that big bonum. Do God. So we're catching a lot of these figures, but with a giant backbeat that moves butts. And then there's some syncopation. Do God.
He's cutting the hi-hats.
He's as Carmine Appice would say, the hi-hats are barking.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Pea soup?
Yep, pea soup. Okay, so go back to that halftime section again.
Okay, here we go. I think that came in.
On the outside, always looking in. Will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass. Waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear. So I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass. Waving through a window.
Okay.
Can anybody
right? So
it's all the same underlying rhythm as the.
It's this. So this is great. We got lucky. This is less time consuming because he's playing a 2-bar pattern. Boom, do bop, do God, do, and so he's playing the whole phrase. And then at the end of that phrase, he goes ga da da, and then on the end of this phrase, he goes boom, do bop, which is the same macro rhythm as over here, but we set it up differently. On this version of this part of the song, it's more aggressive.
Yeah,
you have that giant backbeat.
Okay, it builds the energy.
Now, John, did it push into this chorus? Or we got to go back to this other second. He did.
Did it?
I want to check that.
Let's go back to that because we let it go for a while.
Step out of the sun because you've learned.
Yes.
On the outside, always looking in. Will I ever be?
So when I say push into a chorus, there's two ways it can hit it. Downbeat. God, nice and clean.
Right.
It marks the phrase.
It's on the one.
He pushed it, so he's
right.
Which is
that's a push.
It's a push.
Right.
This is the push song.
See that, Courtney? And the kids, that's what a push is.
Yeah.
The way I've been freaking explaining it this whole damn time.
It's different than a shove.
What about a pull? Can you do a pull?
You know, there's not a lot of pulling in music unless you're a drummer that's a really bad drummer and you push and pull the band all over the stage at night. But you know where I learned how to push was watching Skinamax.
12 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big deal back then.
This is a family show.
I know. Okay. All right. So go back to this Bonham. Let the Bonham thing play, and I can write myself little cues of the attitudes of each section. So this is almost like Weather Report, Cyndi Lauper, right? This opening section is almost breezy, almost like a Steely Dan, like a Peg or something. You know,
interesting.
Just the colors. You know,
wow.
This is our little reggae.
This is why it's important to know your musical vocabulary, right?
And this is how you can reference all these different characters and draw from them, even in a Broadway show. I mean,
look at this. We started
look at Rent. That was a rock musical.
Yeah, it was.
You know,
yeah. And this is similar. This is a lot of rock going on. Making sure we're still recording.
Is this like folks living in New York City having troubles and growing up?
No, this is like a suburbia where a kid's just trying to, like every other kid, trying to be accepted.
Yeah.
Doesn't really tackle too many heavy issues. It's kind of refreshing, actually.
Nice.
And, when my daughter was listening to it from a musician standpoint, I'm sitting there looking at it going, wow, the music's actually pretty good compared to all the other crap you listen to.
I like it.
So
I let it roll.
Okay, we're rolling from, here we go.
Bonham.
More than I've always been, 'cause I'm tapping on the glass. Waving through a window. I try to speak,
Crash.
but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm
5,
watching people
6, 2, 3,
pass.
4, 7, 2, 3, 4, and 2.
Can anybody see? Is anybody waving when you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around?
Okay, so it's 4-bar phrase, push on the and of 4, and then I think it was 4 kick drum notes, and then ja. Let's go back and check that.
Jim.
I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window.
Tom's too.
Can anybody see? Is anybody waving when you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around? Do you ever really
One more time.
crash?
Sorry, guys.
No, you're fine.
Put your thinking cap on.
This is this is very interesting.
And some, yeah.
Can anybody see? Is anybody waving when you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around? Do you ever really crash or even make a sound when you're falling in a forest
3, 4,
and there's
6,
nobody
2,
around?
3, 4.
Do you ever really crash or even make a sound when you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around? Do you ever really crash or even make a sound when you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around? Do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even...
Okay, so Tom's, and he's playing into subtly that macro rhythm, right? So it's almost like Kalijah, the country song, but it's so he's double. He's on the toms, but he's got a little slight accent, and he does this 4 times. So it's a 2-bar phrase that he does 4 times, and then it sounds like it's going to continue to build like crazy.
Yeah, he's going into a second, but it's building energy.
Okay.
Right? So I'm going to back it up a little bit.
Back it all the way to before those toms come in, so we know where we are in the
Where the
phrase.
acoustic guitar is the little...
Do you ever really crash?
So it's almost like
or
a
even
breakdown.
make a sound?
Yeah.
When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Did I ever make a sound? On the outside.
Yeah. Then it goes up and goes the pitch change.
Modulation.
Is that a modulation? Yeah.
John, I think he did it.
It's funny. There's a downbeat right there on that next phrase instead of the push.
So a straight 1 is a downbeat.
Yeah.
I've only been playing drums
I
for
got
25
lost in
years.
this. I got lost in this. I almost thought it was going to go for another 4 times.
This is like Broadway Dream Theater going on here, isn't it? Except without the upside down time signatures in 1916.
There's actually songs. It's good.
Make a sound, did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Did I ever make a sound? On the outside, always looking in. Will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear.
So that's the section where the drummer gets to fill in all the areas.
That's right. Phil City, right?
Okay, so how can we plan this accordingly here? A lot of pushes. So,
And they alternate. Right?
did he start with a push, John?
Here, I'll back it up. It's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's
Tapping on the glass in a forest and there's nobody around. Do you ever really crash or even make a sound when you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around? Do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I
Two,
even
two,
make a
three,
sound? It's
four,
like I
three,
never
two,
made a
three,
sound.
four.
Did I ever make
Okay.
a sound? On the outside, always looking in. Will I ever be more than I've
Right? That's an alternating downbeat and push, right?
I'm lost. Like, what does it start with the push?
There's a push, yeah. It starts on a push.
Okay.
Is it a push? Okay, hold on.
I try to speak, but never make a sound.
Is that a push? A lot going on in that section, huh?
So usually what I would imagine you would do, I guess I've seen you play stuff like this a lot, is especially
I'm feeling lazy right now.
If you're going to re-record the drums like you normally would for something like this, you would write out the accent pattern and play your own drum.
Play my own fill.
Not
to set up the sections.
Right.
But it sounds,
so mapping out the fills, you just kind of do your own thing.
I mean, no, because if I'm going to play along with the track, I have to do exactly what this guy's doing.
Right.
Which means, I say, Jim, now that I have scribbled this out almost as much as I possibly can in real time, we go back to the beginning and I check all the rhythms and the phrases, and then I'll go.
Do you need to hear the song again?
I say we just start from where the drums come in right there. Just so one full pass with me checking my work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. So this is something you would normally do.
Totally.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, you're wasting time.
Make a sound.
Yeah. And then just end, will I ever make a sound? Did you end on that?
Yeah.
That's epic. Okay, so yeah, the moral of the story is, guys, is I had more pressure on me. I'm being filmed here, and I'm trying to write. Now, if I wanted to, I could go. A lot of times what would happen is I would try to clean this up, especially if I had to re-perform it or do it live with the artist or do it on a clinic.
Right.
But this is, I understand my check and scratch. So I can go and I can do this. Now another drummer might not go, oh, I don't get it. But this tells me everything. Here's a cymbal crash. Here's the kick drum patterns. There's the double stops on the toms. There's the crescendos. This is a fill that starts with a flam. Here's the kick drum patterns. When the hi-hat openings, psst, where all the crashes are. I know that that's a big giant snare drum. Toms, I give myself all these fighting chances to use the right colors on the drums and catch all the big macro rhythm.
Amazing.
And I've seen him do this hundreds of times, and he nails it.
So I've seen him do it
every time.
I've seen him do it a lot as well, but I've never actually got in depth with it. So you understand it. You know, this is what separates the men from the boys.
Well, no, this is the kind of thing that a lot of people, my day job for the last 23 years in Nashville is, you ride a tour bus and you bring the music to the people, which is an amazing feeling and skill set. And then, the way we tour in Nashville, we can come home, we have 72 hours in town.
Right.
Now, you can fill that time with producing records, writing songs, playing on other people's records, doing drum tracking from your home. You've got to be able to do this kind of stuff to work efficiently, to create a nice workload for yourself, to keep the lights on. And I guess if you saw me playing an arena with Aldine, you go, yeah, man, that's that guy just bashes those poor crash cymbals. It's probably pretty good that Sabian gives them free cymbals all the time.
Well, the funny thing is, when I first got introduced to you, I knew, I saw you on the Hicktown video.
Yeah.
Right? And the way I memorize songs and learn them is I listen to it once, then I listen to it again.
And then again and again in your car.
And then again.
So we were actually thinking on another bonus episode of the Rich Redmond Show that Jim, our amazing co-host, co-producer, would actually get on the drums and play Hicktown, and I would give him some feedback on
how badly I play it.
No, just like
because I'm rusty.
If it was tight, what the sound on the instrument, the timing, the balance between the limbs, your choices of fills, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's going to sound awful. And John's going to. I think
it's going to be great.
You're going to want to stick a pick in your ear,
or my eye, or my eye.
Well, whenever I'm around, you want to do that anyway.
Anywhere in the face.
Guys,
area.
Speaking of eyes, this is I'm so upset. John knows because he's like a son. He knows all my problems. I got a cataract in my left eye, guys. I cannot. Can you believe this? I'm not even 50.
Breaking news.
It's like I'm looking through milk, spilt milk. It's really disheartening.
So what do you got to do?
Good record.
I've got to get it burnt off, and I can't play drums for like 10 days.
That's not too bad.
Not bad.
So you're gonna go play this now.
Let's do this.
All right.
To the drums.
I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, before I make the mistake, before I lead with the worst of me. Give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away. So I got nothing to share, no, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass. I'm waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? We start with stars in our eyes. We start believing that we belong, but every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned, On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Did I ever make a sound?
Yeah! Nice job.
It's
All right, get over here. We'll unpack this a bit.
All right. Yes.
So, hearing it a handful of times, you had to break it down. This is not exactly a song that is, your Nashville typical. I mean, you could do this on a Nashville song fairly easily, and you do it on a daily basis.
Sure.
This song's got a lot going on, right?
It's got a lot going on, and you just have to be comfortable with like feeling a phrase,
right,
and knowing what are downbeats and what are upbeats. And a lot of people will ask me, Rich, can you teach me how to chart on a regular basis, and so I can learn a lot of songs faster? But you're really not. There's really nothing to show them if they can't read rhythms. So
well, and it's not only that, and making it your own. Like you said, this is your own chicken scratch, but it makes more sense to you, and it's amazing to see you listen to a song. I wouldn't have the slightest place where to begin to do something. I probably do something like this, break up the measures that way, but yeah. I mean,
I wish I had some.
This is just years of prep.
Yeah, I mean, if I had some Broadway style charts and some big band style charts to show you, a lot of the stuff is kind of fat because you have the 5 lines and 4 spaces, they call it the staff, and then you have bar lines, and you have your clef, and you have your time signature, and on a lot of songs, like especially like big band swing numbers, the jazz ride cymbal pattern is written out ding da ka ding, and it's just a bunch of repeats, right? And then you have rhythmic figures, bop ba dow.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So but if I wrote bop ba out, it's a half note, dotted quarter, and eighth note, bop ba dow, and I would know how to set that up on the drum set. So you have to first get comfortable with reading rhythms, and then you come up with your own shorthand, because basically I wrote out macro rhythms. I know where the lengths of notes are, when to hit a crash, when things are tender. I wrote the word color. That tells me things are tender. And then I have the cross stick here, and then I have fills, ba-do-ba, boot-do-ba. And then when it went to the bottom thing, I wrote that beat out, a lot of repeat signs, or repeat this 2 bars. That means repeat the previous 2 bars.
Right.
So I play boom, do da, boom, do ga doom, and I repeat the previous 2 bars again, do ga, and then I repeat the previous 2 bars again, and I do that, and it becomes an 8-bar phrase.
So it's a lot of shorthand to say just do the same thing.
Do the same thing 4 times in a row.
Right.
And then on top, I wrote the one thing that makes that phrase different. Ba da da ps. Right, coming out of it, and then at the end of the next phrase is boom, do da, and I could sing these things, or what they call it, scatting, singing or scatting the rhythm, but I can also count it. So the boom, do ba, boom, boom, boom is 1 and 3 and 3, 1 and 3 and 2.
Yeah,
I'm always thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then there's just executing things. And then when you listen to the final version of the track, you'll realize that I was so inspired, and in the moment, hearing the violins, hearing the voices, hearing the majesty of the melody, I went to this gigantic backbeat for 3 measures.
You took license, and basically you were able to play this song, not hearing it. I mean, literally, we took our time and broke it down, and you wrote out the shorthand. It took a little bit of time to do that, but you nailed it. I mean,
thanks,
one
buddy.
take.
Well, and it's interesting until the vocal comes in, until you start hearing the song kind of unfold. When you hear that rhythm, so I'm counting it 1, 2, 3, 4, so fast measures, right? But it could have also been 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. It could have been slow measures, which affects how you write your chart out and how you're feeling the phrase.
See, now I understand what my family is the confusion that they have, because I'm hearing you describe it, and I'm going, I'm like glazing over here. I'm going,
I mean, no, you can feel it.
You get it. I mean, obviously,
1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E.
Yeah.
1, or you can hear it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1.
See, the way I do this is, repetition and memorization, which nobody has time for. When you have to, like when you went on the road with
the first gig I ever had in Nashville, I'm spitting
80 songs.
Yeah, it was like 60 songs with my friend Amy Daly, who's now married to our guitar player Jack Sizemore. My first job in Nashville, she goes, I need for you to learn 60 songs by tomorrow, and if you're learning by rote, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then if you're on a recording session where you got, all right, we're going to do 2 songs in 3 hours.
And guys, if you're listening to this on the podcast, much more interesting to watch this. It was an amazing process to watch.
Well, this is just really, really fun. And for our next...
Watching Rich do his job.
For our next... it's like, take your buddy to work day.
I know. But I mean, I'm a drummer, right? And I learned by memorization. Yeah. I never got into anywhere near that. I never did the marching band stuff. I never did school band or anything like that. I just got a text from my wife saying, I don't know how, if we made a mistake putting Spencer in school band, but I'm tired of his crap about it. Oh,
what is he playing?
He's playing percussion.
That's great.
I know.
Why? What's going on?
Because he's 11 and, doesn't, if we want him to do something, he's got to fight us and everything. Which is, just
get me over there and I'll knock some sense into him.
I would welcome it. But I mean, so the way I've always learned stuff was I just had a good memory.
Yeah.
I could literally sit down and play a lot of the stuff I used to play in my parents' basement. I could probably pull off Carry On Wayward Son.
I mean, that's really good. Rub it in, because there's one time you pulled that up on me and you're like, you don't know this note for note?
I don't know if I could do a note for note, but
You know the sections because you heard it so many times.
Right.
Like, I kind of envy you because you're hearing and feeling music and you have a relationship with it that is personal and is completely different from mine. I have a hard time almost enjoying some music now because I'm thinking of it in an analytical way from so many years of having to kick and claw and scratch to be a sideman and always wondering where my next gig or showcase or recording session was going to come. So you force yourself to be good at analyzing music and picking it apart and being able to create a system for yourself to,
but the thing is,
play it quickly.
But I wouldn't be able to make a living doing it. You know what I mean? Unless I was in a band and I just memorized all the songs.
Well, you have a better monster truck voice than me, so I wouldn't be able to make my living.
Well, I mean, but even, some of the stuff that you play, I see you have, charts for Hicktown, songs you've played thousands of times.
Well, we have a song now that is going to be potentially a new single. And I wrote it all out note for note because I knew that there was going to be a camera crew that was going to come out and was going to film us performing that song, but they were going to film the footage of us playing it live, but sync it to the studio recording.
Right.
Which means if I don't want to be caught with my pants down, I want to have the best fighting chance of looking and sounding appropriate on camera, I need to play it note for note. So John and I created this system where I have this little 4x6 recipe card and I put it and I tape it right to the adjustment knob halfway down on the DW hi-hat stand.
Yeah.
And then we have these little lights, these little skit, and no one knows I'm reading.
Right.
And I'm not even reading as much as glued to it. It's just like, okay, this is the fill that's going to be on bar 4 of this phrase. I need to nail it.
Right.
Because you can play ga 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 ga, or you can play ga ga go do do do, or blacko blacko do do. But it's got to be the exact one. Because if the camera's on you at that moment, it has to be the right one.
Which is funny because I was watching a movie the other night. You can sit down, John. I give you permission.
John wants to sit. John's being invited to sit down, but really what he wants to do is go home.
You want to go home? Is he wanting to go home? So, yeah, but I mean, you watch a lot of movies, and what drives me nuts is when all they care about is the singer and the singer matching the track.
Right.
You could see the drummer in the background hitting the snare on the downbeat.
Well, on the 1 and 3,
right,
and that has just as much to do with the quality of the video editor. And there's a lot of video editors out there that don't have a musical mind or a musical background.
Right.
That's why when you have somebody that's directing live concerts, award show performances, or music videos, they should play an instrument or have some sort of.
Now, let me ask you this: with Johnny knowing how to do this, do a lot of drum techs know how to do that? Is that common?
No, I think a lot of it depends on. Their background and their training. Some of them are really, fantastic drummers that, could be like, get out of the way, or they'll break the leg of the drummer. I want to do this. Yeah. But John is like incredibly trained because he got his, was it a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree? 2. He got a 2-year degree in the arts and sciences of music and music recording and all that.
Yeah. But I mean, is it common for someone like John?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's common in general. I mean, there's plenty of musicians that can't do this.
Right. Well, I think this is incredible.
There's drummers that have played on hundreds of #1 songs that don't read music, but they have a musical mind and they know what to play within the given scenario. And then you have people like Dennis Chambers, who plays with some incredibly gifted,
very
complicated music and memorizes everything. And it's really quickly can pick up on things, which is like, I'm envious. He's hearing and relating to music in his own special way. He has his own relationship with it. This is my relationship.
Yeah.
Being able to write your own chart or interpret a chart that you're given on a cruise ship, in a recording studio, at a rehearsal. And it's just a good skill to have. Is it everything? No. But when you have this ability, you'll have a deepened relationship with the song. You'll be able to learn more songs quickly, which will allow you to generate more opportunities for yourself by playing in more situations. And the more situations you play in, the greater chances you have to be successful.
Right. I see.
So. Now, for another bonus episode of The Rich Redmond Show, we're going to get Jim McCarthy on the drums, and he's going to play the #1 song, Hicktown. Actually, was Hicktown a #1 song? No, I think it only made it to like #8 on the charts. And it took a year to get there. But you know what?
It's a good song.
It plays like a #1 in the show because it's 123 BPM, and it's got a lot of energy.
It's only 121 and a half.
Oh, 121 and a half.
Yeah.
So this came about with me being cocky and not playing drums in, probably months at this point.
Yeah, so watch for that episode of The Rich Redmond Show. Guys, thanks so much for commenting, rating, reviewing, subscribing, sharing. Tell your friends if you have any questions at all or suggestions for guests. We have an email address. It's therichrredmondshow@gmail.com. Until next time, take care of each other. This has been The Rich Redmond Show with my friends, Music City, USA. We'll see you soon.
This has been The Rich Redmond Show. Subscribe, rate, and follow along at richredmond.com/podcasts.